911, what's the address of the emergency?
The address that I'm at is Walk Circle, but I need to file a missing persons report.
Okay, and when was she last seen?
Well, by me, it was Thursday morning. I left for work at 7 a.m. She left sometime between 7:30 and 8, and I have not seen her since.
This is Janine Catazano. She was reported missing on December 29th, 2018, by her husband, Joseph Traeger. Joseph told police that the last time he had seen her was on November 29th, right before he left to go to work for the day. The police thought this was strange because it meant that he had waited just over 3 days to report that his wife was missing. The other thing that the law enforcement found odd was how Joseph did not appear to be upset over the disappearance of his wife. In fact, even when he was interviewed by the local news, he continued to show very little emotion.
Did you have anything to do with it?
Absolutely not. Listen, I've had the police here 3 different times, crime scene investigators. They went through the house. There's nothing, whatchamacallit, nothing for me to be suspect of, you know.
Joseph and Janine had been married for over 10 years. Joseph had an extensive criminal history that went back almost 30 years and involved committing crimes in multiple states. Joseph had a violent temper as well, and his lifelong addiction to heroin did not help his battle with anger. Janine had filed multiple police reports against her husband, claiming domestic violence, yet she continued to stay, hoping that one day their relationship could be repaired. With all of this information, the police requested that Joseph come in and take a lie detector test because they wanted to see if Joseph had anything to do with Janine's disappearance.
You again, would it be okay to call you?
If who needs to talk to me?
We need to.
You can call me anytime you want. I've got nothing to hide. Okay. I'm just telling you, I mean... Listen, I know this whole situation does not look great. I get that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if I was responsible for anything with it, you guys would never have found me. And I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
So...
You have anything else?
What time is it?
It's 3:40.
You said this was going to be quick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's for now.
We getting up? Alright.
Like we don't even touch the ground, so
No.
it's not very comfortable.
Joseph would fail the lie detector test. All the evidence and information the police had would lead to Joseph. They would need a confession from him to charge him with anything. There was still the possibility that Janine was tired of the toxic and abusive relationship, and she had decided to leave. This still seemed very unlikely, as the home the couple lived in belonged to only Janine, and she had many friends and family members who also had not heard from her. The investigators on this case decided to have Joseph come back in so they could see if they could get him to confess as to what actually happened to his wife.
Lock that in. Done deal. Done deal. Indisputable at this point in time. Gavel comes down. End of the show. The end. Star Spangled Banner 1975 TV goes off.
Mm-hmm.
You know how that worked.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. It's over.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what happens from here is still affectable. We can still affect how we move forward.
No.
Yes, we can.
How?
Listen, you firmly believe, you said this to me, I'm not walking out of here tonight. But if that was the case, why are we still sitting here? Why am I still sitting here with you talking to you? Why am I wasting my time if I don't need to? Why am I wasting my time? This is done. I don't need to sit here. I gotta be back here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. My shift starts at 8. Why am I still sitting here talking to you if this was over? That makes no sense to me. Write it up, done, walk away. You know why? Because I go home.
Joe, tell us what happened.
There are many different ways an interrogator can approach a suspect to try and get a confession. Everything is planned before the suspect is brought in, even the positioning of the chairs and the temperature of the room. They have dealt with Joseph before, and they know that he is a hardened criminal with a lifetime of violent crimes, so they know they can't try and play on his emotions to get what they need. They need to intimidate a man that has spent most of his life intimidating others, so first, they make sure to outnumber him 2 to 1. Next, the detectives must be very aggressive and loud because that is the language Joseph speaks. If they were to approach him with soft, sympathetic voices, Joseph would look at them like they were prey.
You arrived at that house. After you arrived at that house, she never left again. She didn't show up to the doctor. She didn't show up to the gym. The doctor was a life-threatening appointment. If she doesn't show up to, she could die. Her phone goes dead. All at the time you arrived at the house Wednesday morning. Tell us what happened. Tell us what happened.
There's nothing to tell.
I don't understand how you can sit here, look at me and Josh,
tell us what happened.
and say that. Tell us what happened.
At this point, just tell us.
What
There's
happened?
nothing to tell.
There's absolutely something to tell, and you want to tell it.
What do you mean I want to tell it?
You want to tell
If
it.
there was something to tell, I'd tell you.
There is 100% something to tell, and you want to tell it, and you'll feel better when you tell it.
No.
So let's get there. Let's do it together.
There's no,
Let's do it.
Listen, there's no, let's do it together. There's no...
Of
No,
course.
you're right. You're right. You know what? You're right.
What?
There's no let's do it together. You know why? Because we don't need it. And we can't tell it. We can't tell it, Joe. We can't tell it. We can't tell. We don't have anything to tell together. You're absolutely 100% right.
You got your story, and you're
No,
going to stick to it.
no, we don't have a story, Joe. We have facts. The facts
All
tell
right,
the
you
story.
got your facts that tell the story, and you're sticking to it.
No, I'm not sticking to it. The facts stick to it. I don't change the facts.
What do you want us to do with the
The
facts?
facts don't change, Joe. We can't.
The facts?
We can't do this to you.
Your facts are wrong.
No, Joe. Listen.
Your
don't-
facts are wrong.
Joe, stop for a second. All right. We know the facts aren't wrong. I'm just going to back up here because this is the point in time where I start to get the. I don't know whether I want to continue having this discussion with you because at this point I'm starting to believe there was one person in all this who said that Joe's a fucking asshole. He don't give a shit about anybody else, and he's not going to tell you any. Oh, by the way, he killed her, and that's the end of it.
The detectives need to take into account that Joseph is a heroin addict. Heroin is made from morphine and can cause its user to feel very calm and drowsy, even in a high-anxiety situation. They realize that this drug can numb Joseph's real emotions and cause him not to care at all, which will make extracting a confession that much harder. They need to be as intimidating as they can to break through to Joseph, and when that happens, they will need to switch to a more sympathetic approach.
That person would surprise you, but that's what happened.
That person would surprise me.
Yeah, it was one person in all this said that he did it. He doesn't care. He doesn't have a conscience, and it doesn't matter. And you know what? And we went, well, 10 people saying one thing and this is saying the other one. But you know what? I'm at that point in time right now tonight where I'm starting to go, well, wait a minute. Maybe this is the long shot. Maybe this is the 100 to 1 underdog that had this pegged right from the beginning. Maybe that's it. Because I'm getting to the point, Joe, where I don't need you. I don't need you to do this. I don't need you to sit here. We have it without you. We have it without you. So now I'm getting to the point where I feel like I'm starting to waste my time. And if there's one thing we haven't talked about, it's the fact that I really hate to waste time. I really hate to waste time. I really do. So we're getting to that point where you and I both know that you're not expecting her to come home. That's a done deal. We all know that. You're not expecting her to come home. You remove stickers from the car.
Remove stickers from the car.
You're making changes, in the house. Listen, we know, you and I both know, you're not expecting her to walk in the door. You're not following up with detectable zone on a regular basis like a really concerned person would do. If it was me, I'd be camped out in the lobby all day long. I wouldn't leave.
The detective makes a great point, saying that Joseph is not acting like a person who just lost the love of their life. Not only do police officers deal with criminals on a daily basis, but they also deal with innocent people who are victims of crimes or are put into terrible situations. They watch how an innocent person acts when something tragic happens to them, then compare it to how a guilty person will act. An innocent person will react to a situation, whereas a guilty person will just act. Unless you're an Oscar-winning actor, someone who is showing genuine emotions is far more convincing than someone pretending to.
We got to dinner tonight. Her picture's up on the wall at Outback. And you know what? You went, oh, Janine's picture. You're not expecting her to walk back in the door, Joe. You know what I know. At this point in time, everybody who sees this and everybody who looks at this is going to come to the same conclusion. But when it's all said and done, you're going to be left alone on the island, all by yourself, with nobody to help you. And this time there'll be no more trips to the Hard Rock.
Apparently, yeah.
This is the point in time where you have to make a decision. This is decisions now at this point. The decisions now. You're either going to make this right and have a chance.
The detectives switch their tone and become far less aggressive. When a dominant person meets another more dominant person, in this case, two more, and they realize they cannot intimidate them, they will most likely try to calm the other person because they do not like the feeling of being the one that's intimidated. The detectives realize they are close to a confession, so they ask Joseph if he would like to get something to eat at the local Chick-fil-A. A suspect will be more willing to confess if they believe they are getting something in return, almost like a trade or a reward. During the meal, Joseph tells the police what happened the night of his wife's disappearance.
I've known my wife since we're 9 years old, 10 years old. We've known each other for 40 years. We had financial problems, so all marriages go through problems, nothing major.
You're desperate to get her back home.
Absolutely.
What would it mean to you to get her back home?
It would mean the world to me to get her back. It would mean everything.
This must just hurt you, just tear you apart.
It's killing me. I haven't slept in 3 weeks.
Joseph tells police that he had been taking a shower, and after the shower, he went downstairs where he found Janine lying on the ground. He claimed that his wife had a seizure and had fallen and hit her head on the kitchen floor. Joseph said that he panicked, fearing that he would be the one that was blamed, so he took his wife's body and put it into 3 large trash bags and placed them into a trash bin that was emptied later that day. The police would arrest him on their way out of the restaurant, and later, Joseph would tell them that the seizure story was a lie, and then he would tell them the real truth.
We'll come by your work and drop it off before noon. Let me send them a text right now. I'll do it later. All right, let's go. I'll send the guy that has the text. Tell him to get them over. Come on, let's go. Bring it to your house. Leave it at your house. You need to get home to your kids. You're going now. That's why I want to leave. You don't care about my phone. You want your kids. That's true, too. I'm talking about little... She's coming to eat. I understand. I'm holding the door for her. Come on, Joe. Come on, let's go. Come on in. What's up? All right. Thank you. All right. Hey, Carol, what's up? We're going out. We're trying.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going out.
Let's wait. Yeah. Come on.
What's up? Oh, come on. Are you serious?
I need to take you to the hospital.
Oh, my God.
Janine wanted a divorce from Joseph, and she was the owner of the home, so she told him that he had to move out, which he did. Joseph was now homeless and he needed a shower, so he asked his wife if he could take one at her home. She said he could, but he was to leave as soon as he was finished. After the shower, Joseph begged Janine to let him move back in, but she stood firm on her decision. Joseph began to get very angry that his demands were not being met. He grabbed Janine and sexually assaulted her, and when he was finished, he took her life with a large kitchen knife. He then washed off the knife and placed the body and the knife into 3 large trash bags and put them into a garbage bin on the street. He then drove around in his Honda Civic, waiting for the trash to be picked up. After cleaning up any evidence in the home, Joseph went to the casino where he spent the rest of the day gambling.
Did you have anything to do with it?
Absolutely not. Listen, I've had the police here 3 different times, crime scene investigators. They went through the house. There's nothing, whatchamacallit, nothing for me to be suspect of,
Janine's body would never be recovered as it was incinerated shortly after being picked up by the trash company. Joseph remains in prison without bail, awaiting his trial. As in most cases, the signs were there but nothing was done. Even after her family warned her to never be alone with Joseph, and she filed multiple domestic abuse reports against him, it wouldn't be enough to save Janine's life.